All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out so folks can get joined in here and follow along with our Saturday sector review. So it should be pretty fun here. One second. All right. We're also live on Share Vision. Promote our friends there. All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. So I hope everybody's going to enjoy the sector review today. Before we get started, everything we're going to talk about is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to go through some sectors here, see what might be setting up going into this week, and if there's any time at the end, we're going to go through some of the chatter names and what might be, some of the names that were kind of hot with trends last week through our friends at ChatterQuant. So we'll be taking a look at that here in a little bit. In fact, let me get that pulled up here now. 1 second. Let's just go here, here, here. There's this one I need to remove. Oops. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. There we go. All right, so get that one pulled up there. Okay, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So good. So first, let's take a look and see where we are left off with the market. So far, right? So SPX guys, on the monthly chart, looking pretty. Let me make sure everything's coming through okay here at the broadcaster. Yeah, looking good. So guys, SPX monthly chart still green, right? We ended up down about 6 points on Friday. Had some kind of wild price action last week. A lot of fast moves down and fast moves up too. So that was interesting. And of course, we had OPEX, which is short for option expiration, on Friday. And a lot of times we get some shenanigans off of those levels. But we did see some moves in some names that were pretty interesting, like Amazon with a sharp drop on Friday after a big move. We'll take a look at that chart here in a little bit. Apple, of course, with another big push, right? And this week, which we talked about last week as the possibility of a breakout in Apple. And then, of course, Tesla. So Tesla was just ripped at the end of the day on Friday. So we'll take a look at probably those three charts. And then, although for the most part, we probably won't get into any chart requests tonight. We'll try to do that tomorrow night when we're live with Paul. For the Elliott Wave show, but right now we're just going to run through some sectors and kind of take a look at what's setting up overall at the market. There's a lot of talk out there now on FinTwit about the market being extended and all that stuff. But people have been saying the market's been extended up here, 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 and here. So I mean, the market, anytime the market goes up, people are going to say it's extended. One of the things that folks are commenting on is the breadth, of the market. So we could take a look at a tool that's out there that I just shared in our group that you can kind of just do a quick gauge of breadth. It sounds like really fancy. It's like, well, is that a chart or, is that a, what is that, right? That type of thing. So there's a pretty cool site out there. I'll share that with you guys here today. Let's see, it's actually a little bit tied up right now. Oh, if it's the site is undergoing maintenance right now. So they said to check back in 15 minutes. We'll take a look at that in a little bit too. So again, a lot of talk about breadth, things like that. Things are starting to pull down. So the main thing, breadth is right. Your trend, right? We've done videos on that in the past. So your advanced decline lines, right? You could use your McClellan oscillator, which is blah. And but the McClellan summation index is kind of interesting, so that's kind of a good gauge of it. So we can look at that too. Is it a perfect predictor of the market? No way, right? It's just an indicator, right? So it's an accumulated indicator. Or an accumulation indicator of all the McClellan oscillators, and it's an interesting one. I'll try to get the chart up for you guys if that site's up, but that's one that I don't think I can get in Thinkorswim. I can get the McClellan oscillator up there, but I'd have to customize something, and it's really, I don't think it's worth it to even do it. But it's, if you guys want to look at it so you can use the word breadth too in your fin twitting, right? Feel free to check it out. So pretty cool stuff there. So anyway, guys, SPX still green here on the monthly chart. So again, it's gonna be as extended as it wants to be. Same with the weekly chart. Now we did have a nice push up here, right? Don't forget, guys, we had the three white soldiers move up and the follow through. We got kind of tight up here. So one of the things that we look at on the SPX is the RSI. With the Bollinger Band, right? So we are, basically at the upper Bollinger Band here. RSI, it's not showing up on this chart, but is also a little bit overbought too. But it can do that anywhere, right? It was overbought for a while here, and then eventually we worked our way back. So we may just go sideways. I actually still have a pretty bullish count on this one. Next week's price action would definitely would prove one way or the other. So we are in a trend box right here. We are above one bump line, right? Here's the macro upward trend line from the Corona crash, right? Look at that way back. I can't even get, there we go. There it is. There's the Corona crash bottom. Oh, 2100. What was that all about? We're a double. We're at 20, more than double. Look at that. So here's your upward trend line from here. Here's a bump line there. Here's another bump line here. We got below that here. So that puts us in a trend box, in the lock box or the trend box. And so that kind of puts us in here, which usually indicates to us that we're in a corrective pattern of some sort. Now, does a corrective pattern mean bear market? No, it just means that we're, breaking trend, potentially changing trend, like Bitcoin, right? We changed trend on Bitcoin, at least briefly. So you can see we had a big trend box here. See if it gets pulled up for us. There we go. We had a trend box here. All right, it's not showing up, but we broke below that trend box the other day. I think I took it out because we broke below it. So, but we had a trend box here. Oops, I think you need to click that to get this thing to go. Here. So we had a trend box here, and we broke down below that on Thursday, and then we tagged our target level of the 50-day moving average. But once we broke the trend box, that's when we drew this downward trend line, right? So it's a short-term downward trend line, but we're under the bump line of the Bitcoin, right? So that's something to look at right there. But generally, overall, pretty weak. The Bitcoin stocks, the miners and things like that are actually, when we get through sectors, are actually on our weak list. So, and you can see why, right? Because we had a week this week, right? So we'll take a look at a few of those names later, and we'll take a look at some of the sectors that are on our radar going into this week as well. So let's get through the SPX here and. Just see what we've got going on. So the main things here on the SPX that we're looking at on our wave count, right? So that huge wave up, right, was pretty epic, right? So very impulsive wave up, right? So we're overextended right now. Oh, everything's overbought. Oh, everything's overbought. Still going. And then we get a little bit of a pullback. This actually, I thought was going to be the trend box that we're in right now. I thought this was going to be a little bit of a deeper retrace. I thought this was going to be the A. I thought this was going to be the B right here, but then we took out this level right here, which invalidated it, and then it actually turned into an impulsive wave up. And then I thought we'd have a wave 5 down and kind of, get to this 382 retrace and then really start to work our way up. And right now, we're heading into a holiday week. And by the way, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I'm thankful for all you guys, for being here and for all your, continued support for sure. And, one of the big things here, I'm not sure exactly. Sorry, I was just looking at my other broadcaster. It's fine. One of the things that we're looking at is whether or not SPX is going to get above the all-time highs, right? So last week it was pretty interesting, right? We had the S&P futures and the SPY both get over all-time highs. Both make fresh all-time highs. But does that matter for the market? No, because they're not the market, right? SPY is not the market, right? The S&P futures is not the market, right? The S&P futures is one of the most heavily traded, derivatives in the world, but it's not the market, right? So the market, this is the market. This is the S&P 500, right? This takes the cash value, the cash close of all those, and puts it on a chart, right? So whereas the SPY is a derivative of this, and the S&P futures is trades the futures of the SPX, right? So that's kind of the big difference of those. So we really want to see if the market itself, the SPX, is going to get to all-time highs. If it doesn't this week, heading into Thanksgiving, because of the holiday, we may see some low-volume holiday chop. Right, and so that's kind of one of the things we're looking at, and there is a possibility that this is actually working on a larger triangle because we haven't taken out these highs. This could actually be an A. This could be a B. This would be a little bit kind of a short reach of the D. A, B, C, D, E. Right, so I would expect maybe another move down here, and then an up, and then a down, and then an up. So this could actually extend for a while, all the way through the holiday week here. Depending on the price action, right? So it might be a little bit tricky going into this week, right? So, and the fact that, even though to me this looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up for sure, A, B, C down right here, and then we could be starting a fresh impulsive wave up, maybe a 1, 2, 1, 2 right here. Maybe the wave 2 is not done yet. We still have that 6, 1, 8 possibility. The fact that it was so sluggish on Friday, kind of leads us to believe that, hey, we're not necessarily in an impulsive wave right now, right? So it's tough. We just need to see the price action. It's gonna be tough going into the holidays to really see if we get some crazy price action, right? I don't imagine the volume's gonna be high. We have seen low volume, big movement days, right? Because there's nobody there to short it or to sell, but they're just happy to see the profits go up before they come back to trade, right? That type of thing. So. So we'll see how it goes going into this week. Could be interesting. So we'll review this more, of course, tomorrow night on the Elliott Wave Show with Paul with Algo 382. So looking forward to that as well. That being said, though, guys, so that's kind of what we're looking at the SPX here. Let's dig into some sectors and kind of take a look at what's going on. May as well start with the Bitcoin, right? We kind of looked at this here, with the Bitcoin kind of breaking out of its trend box, right, for this bump line here. Right, so one of the things that we're looking at is its pullback to the 50-day moving average. We want to see if this holds. We did call it to this, guys, in the bubble report. So anybody who's any of our members there who enjoys our bubble report, which is, by the way, only $5 a week, and we give you, Paul had Apple last week, which is incredible. Amazon with an incredible move, just really great stuff, and plus all the our S&P futures game plans, everything, just all in the morning. Very powerful tool. But anyway, once we broke this key support level right here, we figured the 50-day moving average was next, right? Then 54,000 if it breaks under there. But we got a pretty decent bounce off of this, so let's see if there gets any follow through going into to Monday. But right now it's just kind of chopping around. But let's take a look at a couple bit names that are out there. So we've got Riot, right? So let's take a look at a couple of these charts here on the daily chart and just see if we're seeing any more bearish type price action on these. So give me 1 second here. For some reason there's a little bit of a data delay. Most likely because it's Thinkorswim and it's Saturday. I wish I could pause this for you guys, but just waiting for data here. Make sure my internet's good. Internet's good. I always do this when TOS kind of slows down. I run one of those speed tests, right? Like Ookla. And yeah, we got a good ping. 4 milliseconds. Jitter was 0. Download speed's good, upload speed's fantastic. So it's really just a there, guys. It's really just a Thinkorswim thing. So, so kind of interesting stuff. We actually have a what looks almost like a Morningstar reversal here on Riot. Right. So what's a Morningstar reversal? It's a 3-candle chart pattern. First candle's red. Second candle, real body below the real body of the first red candle, and the second one goes 50% of the range. It does not look like we're quite 50%. We tagged 50% of the range, so not quite there. But this is in the light and the looks of a Morningstar reversal. The reason why over 50% is strong because it shows that hey, all the sellers that were down there are really stuck. Right, and that means there's a high probability that we're going to at least take the high of that candle out. But right now we're below the 200-day moving average here and below the ADMA on this one. So Riot looks interesting. It doesn't really correspond with the overall bearishness of the Bitcoin, but actually maybe it does, right? Because if we fail to put in that pattern right there, we actually have low volume right here, and we pull back to the ADMA. So do keep an eye on this one going into next week, especially if Bitcoin gets weak. Riot did fill a gap down here, which is pretty cool, but we may chop around here for another day. But there may be some more downside if it can't get above the ADMA or the 200-day moving average, and it might want its 50-day moving average. So we got Mara. On the radar, that's another one. Right, this had a little bit more volume on it. Not quite an evening star reversal, but it already bounced off its 50-day moving average. So I'd say that's probably one to keep an eye on here too. Let's take a look at Coin. Coin got crushed, guys, last week. It had a really rough. It had a decent bounce on Friday, but it left an upper shadow and an inside day on Friday. Right, which means that there's a possibility that if we break down below this inside day, that we could continue to work our way downside. Hey guys, I'm glad everybody joined in here. Really appreciate everybody. We'll take a look at some ideas here in a little bit. Typically on Saturday, I don't really get through too many chart requests, but feel free to plug them in there. And if we have time at the end here, we'll run through them and see how things are looking. But be sure to tune in tomorrow night when we go through the Elliott Wave show too. So. But anyway, guys, yeah, keep an eye on Coin right here. Again, nasty breakdown candle below the ADMA with increased volume. Inside day on Friday, and we'll just have to see how it handles it. The upper shadow off the ADMA leaves it a little bit suspect. So, of all the names on the Bitcoin sector, I would say Coin looks like the weakest, and then Riot's probably like number 2. Either one, if they break down below Friday's lows, could look like they could see some more downside. So that's I just wanted to go through that since we already looked at Bitcoin. So, but let's jump in through a couple bearish names, bullish names going into this week. My favorite guys, when I look at sectors, I do not like to chase runners. Right? It's that whole FOMO thing, right? So I don't like to chase runners. It's just how I trade. Some folks have no problem with it. Oh yeah, look, it's going higher. I'll go in, right? I'd rather get something that's kind of pulling back a little bit after some strength, right? I'd rather see Coin here, like here. This is so hard to get in, but nice little juicy pullback, and you get a nice little pause, and then back up again, right? Here, this is different, right? So these were all over their 8 EMA. That's your number 8 exponential moving average, and now we're below it, right? So to me, this is not like a pause for me unless we get strong and get back above it again and see some follow through. So this was a nice trending move. This is some choppy sideways action, right? So that's usually what I look for. But let's take a look. Obviously, the SMH has been pretty epic here recently. Huge run up. This is another one I don't like to. I don't want to chase up here. Could be could turn into a reversal spinning top, right? So we just got to keep an eye on that one. But decent move up overall. Look, pulled back to the 80 got nice and tight, started to work its way up, and that's where when you start to see this strength, right? That's where you go into the leaders, right? The ones that are strong, right? So AMD, right? Huge strong move right off of the nice bounce off the 80 just basically completely mirroring the semiconductors. Nvidia, right? Beautiful. Look at this. And of course, earnings were a big part of this, but got really, really tight before earnings, and then boom, nice gap to the upside. And then Friday was the follow-through day with a couple opportunities intraday to get long, and especially over Friday's highs, right? So a nice move there, but no gap and go, right? But kind of calm down a little bit. Some great volume. Look at all the volume that came in even on these choppy days. Right, so you have this just kind of climbing its way up here. Without even all this stuff, look how strong it was before there. It's like, oh yeah, we were working our way up, and now look at the volume, right? Even on the choppy days, right? They're getting in this thing, right? And they got a nice gap up. I mean, Nvidia is super strong, guys, super duper duper strong. So cool stuff there. And those are kind of the main ones. There's a couple other names in here, of course, that people like to look at. You got Intel, but this is a laggard in the rest of the semiconductors, right? So other names that are on here, like your memory names like WDC. Huge gap fill recently. I know it doesn't look impressive, but it was impressive after earnings, right? Big gap fill on that one and a huge move up and kind of back down again. And MU, a lot of folks were talking about this one on Friday with good reason. This is one that Paul, our Elliott Wave Elliotician in our group, pointed out as we broke out of I think even before we broke out of the channel right here. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. Huge channel breakout on this one. And the first 2 days were tricky, right? Because they weren't really that exciting. They're red candles, right? And then we had this one right here. Well, that's a little bit tough to chase. It got a little bit of upside to the next day. It was the pullback that made sense, right? And then you had that inside day up, which gave a good move right here. Another pullback here, got really tight again, right? And then this massive move on Friday. What was the deal on Friday? This thing just went 6% track for largest percent gain. I'm not even sure if there's any real news on this thing, but this thing was just epic. Everybody was trading this thing on Friday. So big move on Micron. This thing is normally just such a dog, and it's really doesn't make big candles like that often. And it's this channel is proof of it, right? It's just like is it gonna break out? No. Is it gonna break out? No. Is it gonna break out? Yes. This time it did, right? So that was a good one right here. This is definitely not a candle I'd want to chase right now, but again, the pullbacks to the ADMA can be nice and tight there, right? Can give a really good move, right? So good stuff there. So that's the semis. In these, I don't really want to chase any of these, so they might chop this week going into the holidays. That's a possibility. Obviously, your Amazons, right? Amazon was a big move, but watch out for this shooting star candle, guys. I can't remember on one of our shows we talked about. Maybe I talked about it on the live stream with the group. Beautiful bull flag breakout right here, and I was like, guys, I wouldn't be surprised because we have this harmonic that we've been talking about for a while here. Right, so we have this beautiful harmonic, the 1.618 extension right here, and basically right back to all-time highs. And Apple played catch-up to all-time highs. Amazon looked like it was trying to play catch-up to all-time highs, but I was like, watch out, the all-time highs are right at a harmonic endpoint, and we might get a shooting star that day. And if we did, I'd say watch out below. So just kind of keep an eye on this one and see how that goes going into early next week. We might kind of drift up a little bit on Monday, but we might see some more downside come Tuesday, Wednesday. So I think it's definitely one to keep an eye on. Apple, of course, right? Super strong, guys. We talked about the potential for a gap up last week. Not even gonna get into it right now. I mean, we had a harmonic on this one too, so it's just super duper strong, right? So tough to chase right here, but a great move last week. So those are a couple of the big names on the the FANG names. The XLY, obviously Amazon was up pretty good. So the XLY is making a nice move right now. But what else is on the XLY? There's two names that are on the XLY that are really strong, right? So two names on the XLY that are really strong, and that's the Amazon, and the other one, of course, is Tesla, right? So Tesla. So why did the XLY? Look at the XLY pull back right here. If Amazon was so strong, why did the XLY pull back? Because Tesla pulled back, right? So Tesla had a major pullback right here, but you look at Amazon, we really didn't experience that. We just kind of had that choppiness right there. It didn't help it, but it didn't really pull it up as much as we would have liked to have seen. But strong move here at the end of the week. Nice little doji sandwich up to get going into the end of the week, and a lot of that had to do with Tesla, right? So Tesla actually had a strong day on Friday. It's kind of cool. We went live at lunch yesterday here, guys, and we were live when Tesla broke out of that intraday triangle that we drew. So it ended up giving a really, really good move. Great for premium selling on a Friday, and but also if you caught the right setups on that one, it also gave a good day trade as well. So really, really nice stuff there on Tesla. on Friday. So hopefully you guys benefited from that on the Friday lunchtime live stream. So good stuff there. So those are the big kind of the big sectors that are moving, without a doubt. And then of course you've got the XHB. Right, so your home builders had a pretty big week this week. Decent move, all week, but kind of left you with an upper shadow on this one. And of course, the big names on this one are Home Depot. Right, whew, look at that one after earnings, guys. This one just kept on going. We always talk about, first of all, we drew this triangle before earnings. Just because we drew the triangle doesn't mean it was going to gap up after earnings, but it's just been so strong, and it's hard to think that with the amount of like home sales that have been going on recently, you guys could check your neighborhoods. I mean, just houses, just prices just going up, and we've always got around here where there's always do it yourself. There's always contractors and stuff too. So they've been busy, guys. I mean, there's no question about it. So I'm not surprised. The only thing you got to watch out is for, with any of these earnings calls is the supply chain concerns and inflation. And speaking of inflation, by the way, folks in stores are actually, like my wife was in a store and was saying that, like, for the first time, she actually heard people complaining, right? Like out loud. Being like, well, the price of this is ridiculous. Like a bottle of shampoo is like $14, right? And stuff like that. Just stuff that's normally like $4, like somewhere else or something like that. It's just like, what's going on with the prices, right? Well, I mean, definitely starting to see the inflation effects, come out there, right? So it's kind of interesting. So, but anyway, guys, the technique with so Home Depot, you kind of would have expected with the way the housing market has been. So you get this nice gap up, very strong day on Friday or on the earnings, and then one of our day trade techniques is to trade above the high of the gap, the green gap day, right? If you get a green gap day. And that ended up being a nice move right here. Ended up getting some really phenomenal follow through to the upside on this one. Of course, I believe some upgrades, things like that. And then Lowe's was the next day reported. This one also, had a decent push. Not as much of a gap up right there. So and it wasn't a green day, so there's nothing up there. But it basically just kind of ran out of steam and is kind of working its way up. But definitely helping the home builder sectors, right? Another one a lot of folks like to look at is Lennar, right? That kind of gave a shooting star one there. Toll Brothers. And paging Dr. Horton, right? So a lot of shooting stars on those. So it's really all about Home Depot, just kind of pulling the home builder sector up, which is pretty cool. Other than that, those are kind of the main ones, right? And what's kind of concerning here going into this week is the TLT, right? So your treasuries, right? The TLT is actually looking pretty bullish, and this is one of my favorite ones, right? So remember we were talking about I don't like to buy these ones that are just kind of breaking out. I was basically just pointing out the obvious, right? A little bit earlier, wow, great job. Thanks for pointing out that Apple is really strong. It just hit all-time highs, right? Yeah, no kidding. But the semis are strong. Wow, yeah, no, Nvidia all-time highs, got it. But what we like to look at, at least in our group, is these type of sectors right here. Now, TLT is going to be tough, right? No matter what, just because it's TLT. But the fact that this kind of popped up on my radar as I was going through things, right? We like these little dip buys, and we like to start seeing green moving over the ADMA and getting some follow through right here. We got some green over the ADMA, and looks like it might get some follow through. Now, usually, a lot of times, if you take this chart here, and you just put it on the, you do a compare to with just the SPX, you do studies, add study, compare with, right? And you just put the SPX on here. It's not showing up. It's probably like way high, or is it? It probably doesn't want to show up on this chart. Maybe I could put it on a daily here. I might have to put the daily over add studies compare with. Let's see if it pops up. There it is, right? So a lot of times, right, we see some inverse correlation on these, right? So sometimes they move in tandem, of course, but you can see like nice dip here on the SPX, big spike on the TLT, right? So usually like bonds are your treasuries are like a safe haven, right? So if the market's going down, right, they like to load up on bonds, right? And so here, right, we can see that the SPX has been working its way up, but it's it's starting to maybe curl a little bit, but look at the bonds starting to make a move right here. So so if we kind of zoom out a little bit, sometimes we always like to see like the kind of like the crossover type moves, right? And so if you zoom out like this, you can see where we start to cross over. It's pretty significant, right? So we had a big drop here, back in the big rise right here back after the corona, big drop after the corona crash, big spike, right? Because everybody's like, oh, let's get into bonds, right? That type of thing. And then you see the this inverse correlation, right? So definitely something to keep an eye on there. And it's so we get a little bit concerned when the bonds start to get perky, right? So it's like wait a second here. So that is one indicator or one idea that hey, maybe this market is getting a little bit funky, right? That type of thing. So but again, good to look on the daily chart there. So it's starting to perk up here over the 80 MA, so that's one to keep an eye on. And there's really, other than the ones that are running, those are kind of the big names that are really on the radar going into this week. The only other one that looked kind of maybe interesting is the IBB, some of the biotech names. I like how it's been down. I like how it's starting to curl its way up right here, kind of nice little basing area right here over at some recent support. I would have liked to have seen a stronger candle on this. It just basically closed at its 80 MA. So keep an eye on the biotech names. If everything goes strong again, and we have more of our irrational exuberance and stuff like that. This week we'll see what we get, right? And this might be one to look at for a potential dip buy. So that's kind of ones on the radar going into this week. Let me grab a sip of water here, and then we'll look at a couple names that are actually looking kind of bearish. So you guys saw there, and then I'll run through and see if you guys have any questions out there. I'll try to grab some chart requests out there too, so because I really appreciate you guys tuning in here. So and then of course be sure to tune in tomorrow for the Elliott Wave Show. And if you guys didn't get a chance to see that interview today out here on YouTube with Trading Composure, be sure to check that out too, guys. Totally worth looking at. Listen to it in 2x speed if you don't have the time. It's about a 40-minute conversation, but some great questions, and a lot of you guys ask these questions, and it's how do I control FOMO, etc. It's very really really cool stuff. So be sure to check that on YouTube. It's here on YouTube, or I just posted it on Twitter today. So anyway, guys, that's what I'm looking at here going into this week. Let's look at a couple bearish names just to give us a little bit of caution, right? So we saw a lot of shooting stars there, like Amazon finished with a shooting star, things like this. A couple of the credit card names are looking a little bit sketchy. Right, so this is actually some downside right here. I was hoping that Visa would hold up, right, but it could be a potential shark pattern right here. This could be a 1-2, so see how that goes in that one. But again, some overall weak charts here in the credit card names. Here, big breakdown, right, started to curl down and below the 50-day moving average. MasterCard looking pretty weak, so a couple of those names going into this week you can keep on the radar. A lot of the even though the biotech names are looking strong, a lot of healthcare names are really breaking down here, right? So you've got the IHF. Right, this is like one of your healthcare sectors. The IHI, right? This is your medical devices, right? Is starting to look a little bit bearish here under the 50-day moving average. Could be interesting. You can kind of drill in there. Look at like Medtronic's got earnings coming up this week. They've had a wow. Everything else has been so bullish, right? But look at this. This thing's just been in a downtrend here for under the 50-day, under the 200-day, struggling. Retested the 200-day and back down under the 80-day. So see if we can get out of this thing from earnings, right? And that's kind of interesting, right? So. And it's possible that a lot of folks just aren't, going to doctor's offices and hospitals because everybody's worried about going out for, pandemic stuff and, or whatever the case is, right? But, these are medical device, sales. And so, maybe there's a lot less procedures being done. People are like, I don't feel like going out. Yeah, that type of thing. So, I don't know. Well, we'll see. See what they say on the earnings call. It could be very interesting. So, obviously, whatever they said on this one, was enough where like a couple weeks later it was like, see ya. This kind of got a little bit bearish on the MDT. So that's looking pretty interesting too. You can't ignore the stay-at-home names, right? Just a couple of them. Piton still under the 80 MA and down. Zoom is going to be really interesting coming into this week. Very bearish chart still, but don't forget, guys, option expiration was on Friday. We've been tracking this one since its gap down on the last earnings, which was actually a pretty good earnings call. They actually beat pretty well, and it was still down on it. So we waited until this. See these dashed red lines here, guys? These are option expirations. Was hoping for a bullish move after this to get it going. Nope, none. Was hoping for a bullish move after this OPEX, and although it looks bullish, there's a green candle. Look at the volume; it just kept on going down. This is a really tough one to go. But Chewy was a good one. Chewy, of all the standouts off the last OPEX, Chewy was one that we swung long and ended up being a fantastic move. We got in here on this day when we got follow through off of this nice candle. And we traded this up to here. Our goal was just to fill the gap in the 50-day moving average, so we exceeded that goal, and that was actually right when our spreads expired. But it got a little bit more upside on it too. But now it looks like it's flagging. So this is, but weak, right? It's under the ADMA. So I would have to see a strong candle over here, and then risk reward is about 50-50 up to the 200-day moving average. So the stay-at-home names are not looking too good going into this week. And although retail has been pretty epic, right? We've been pointing that out all week too. I mean, really, how much more could they go with the inflation and all that stuff that we're seeing out there? So the XRT broke down under the ADMA. Now it didn't have increased volume here in the sector itself, but you start to look at names like Macy's had a kind of a nice move, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The real question is this a breakaway gap, right, or is it a exhaustive gap, right? And so if we take this and we move this here, right? So, maybe the wave 5's done, at least the sub wave 5, and we're kind of working on another move. But a beautiful triangle breakout on that one in earnings. So we actually had some spreads on that, which ended up doubling, which was pretty nice. So cool stuff there. So keep an eye on that. Of course, you got, names like Kohl's, right? So, I mean, a lot of these, you got to say the right things. Macy said the right things on Instagram. This had great earnings, but, they're concerned about, supply chain stuff, right? So it's a big drop on that one, right? You got some other names reporting this week as well. So we'll see how that goes. Of course, there's Costco, which is still kind of hanging in there. Welcome to Costco. I love you. Right. So nice stuff. So pretty cool stuff there. And then finally, guys, the MJ sector. Let's look at this one. I mean, this thing lost, prior support pretty hard the last 2 weeks. So we may see some more downside on this one. Tilray had some good news. And as usual, was shortable, right? It was only up 3 cents on Friday, and we talked about that on our game plan. So it completely rejected. It gapped up, but just rejected the 50-day moving average on that one. CGC, right? Red down. Growers like GRWG, Grug, also down, right? So again, pot names had, they move on news and then they go back down again. It's like they get high for a little bit and then it goes away, right? And then they get the munchies and they're back under the ADMA, right? That type of thing. So. But anyway, guys, good stuff. So that's those are the sectors that we're looking at going into this week. Like I said, kind of take it easy this week. It's Thanksgiving. We're gonna, but these are ones that you could go to if you're like, hey, things are getting strong. Go to the IBB, right, and see if anything looks good. It's like, oh wow, things are really breaking down. Check out some of those healthcare names, some of the stay-at-home names, some of the retail names, and that's what I'm gonna do, and see if we can get involved and catch a trade. So, but good stuff, guys. Let me run through. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. So let's take a look and see what you guys got. And I'm going to get going here in a little bit, but let's run through. I'll catch a couple of these chart requests out there. But thanks everybody for tuning in. So Black Beauty Machine, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Male Gossip, okay, great, love it. And Gary, yeah, Elliott Wave seems hard. Just like anything, if you don't know it, it's going to be challenging to begin with. Like driving a car was hard when we first started, right? Or at least for most of us, and or at least driving a stick. Automatic's pretty easy. Trying to figure out how to get the clutch to engage, things like that. Then once you get to it, it's pretty easy, right? So it just takes practice, and you got to keep doing it. And it's really, it's not necessarily the most predictive thing in the world. There's really not much out there that can predict where the market's going, right? We've got some good tools that are out there that help a lot. But Elliott Wave gives a really good framework to what we're looking at, and can really guide us. Be like, hey, it looks like we're going to start an impulsive wave up here. And then when you start to see that price action intraday, right, we could look to get involved, right? So it just takes practice. So in our group, we've got Paul's in our group. He's on our Elliott Wave Discord channel. He answers questions all the time about Elliott Wave, and we do shows on Sunday night. So be sure to tune in tomorrow night. Where Paul and I are going to be going through Elliott Wave counts and stuff like that. So it's worth the effort, I think, to do it, because it helps me. I'm like, intraday, I'm like, hey, it looks like we might be in a wave B. I'm expecting chop, right, until proven otherwise, that type of thing. So it can help to be like, I'm going to take it easy today, that type of thing. I'm not going to force anything unless we get a breakout of this level, right, that type of stuff. So cool stuff there. And great, I appreciate the world of love. Thanks so much. Mookie, what's going on? Good to see you. So you got Google on the radar? Yeah, let's take a look at Google. Again, just kind of holding in there. Again, looking choppy like the market right here over the 80 MA. Kind of another kind of reddish inverted hammer like Amazon. So we'll see how that goes. Weekly looking good for a breakout. Yeah, let's take a look here. It already broke out, right? So, this is a kind of your breakout candle. So you got your triple pause weeks there. So that could move. So that is a possibility. Yeah, if it breaks over these highs and any sort of strength, I'd definitely keep an eye on it right there. So don't get pop smoked on the chart. Nice. Bitcoin we looked at, of course. Thanks, TC. DD, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. FGD. Intertrade market goes the opposite way. It happens a lot, man. That's the market, right? I mean, it's basically designed that way, right? And why you got to take a step back and think, why is it doing that, right? And so actually watching FGD, I'd suggest watching that trading psychology video that we posted, and you can start to kind of control your emotions with it. And really, the ultimate thing is make sure you have your system in place. for what you're doing. Because if you just go in the market randomly, of course the market is going to behave randomly for the most part, right? So, but there has to be, you have to have some sort of probability in play, in view for what we're doing there. So right, so it just happens. It happens to everybody, but it depends what type of trades you take, and it depends what your setup is, right? And you have to know your risk reward. And Javier, you got the BTBT on the Bitcoin radar there too. Yep, also looking weak there with an inside day. Coin looking weak there too, really, which we discovered. But Judah, yeah, good to see you. Thanks so much for tuning in. And you got a crypto stock there too. I'm not sure if it's going to show up in Thinkorswim. Let's take a look. FYGVF. Okay, yeah, so that's interesting. Voyage Digital, so another inside day on that one here below its ADMA there too. And Mosby's got the MQ on the radar, of course, still under its ADMA. The Pub again, kind of getting over its 200-day there. Sedge, with some nice green candles, about 3 white soldiers on that one. Sedge, maybe a little bit of a bullish engulfing candle on that one too. And then, of course, the GFS. With a nasty breakdown candle on that one, maybe to the ADMA in there too. So, and Jason, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Facebook tricky with that upper shadow, right? So at this point now, Facebook could be getting ready for a move, but yeah, Friday just kind of said like, what? Yeah, that type of thing, right? So I mean, kind of squeeze a little bit of a bull flag in there, but now at this point, I want to see it get over these levels. And then you got an open gap up there, which it might try for. So again, just keep an eye on the rest of the market, see how that goes there too. So Otas, what's going on? Yeah, I'm trying to do a little Saturday stuff, like just going through sectors and all that, and going from there. And the NVIDIA 350s were coming Friday, all above the ass. Yeah, exactly. So again, strong right there, right? And 350s, real nice on NVIDIA. Let's take a look here. Let me just see if I can get this pulled up here on NVIDIA. I don't have this week's pulled up. That option chain has actually been pulled off right here, but 350s, 25,000 contracts traded on the 350 calls on NVIDIA into next week. That's pretty strong. That's pretty heavy. So I would definitely look for potentially more bullish upside on this one if we see the price action for it. And of course, with Tesla, we looked at CRM. You read my mind on that one. Looking kind of interesting there as well. Very weak inside day here to finish the week here. And then Chewy, like we said, in that flag pattern. So anyway, good stuff, guys. Anyway, really appreciate everybody for tuning in this evening. Again, be sure to kind of go back and check through this if you want to see some of our sectors throughout the week that we're looking at, what we look for, and good stuff. So we'll be tracking this stuff in our Discord this week into Thanksgiving, and I hope everybody has a wonderful one. But be sure to tune in, check out that video today on trading psychology that was posted on YouTube and on Twitter, and also be sure to tune in tomorrow night at 7:30 where Paul's going to be joining us. And we're going to be going some wave counts. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about the psychology of waves. So that should be pretty cool to tie together all the series we've been doing this week. So anyway, guys, once again, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. And I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your evening. Stay healthy out there. And remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay